Supplementation. My name is Kadargan, and I'd like to show you how we can take the knowledge we have of nutrition and functional medicine and turn it into absolutely heavenly cooking. So what I'm going to show you now is how to make a gluten-free pizza. And in fact, the same dough I'm using for gluten-free pizza could also be made for using gluten-free pita breads, or it could be used for making gluten-free burger buns. So what we have here, we have some buckwheat flour, so 125 grams of buckwheat flour, 125 grams of brown rice flour, 25 grams of yeast. I'm just going to throw that in the bowl right away. Then I have 2 tablespoonfuls of finely ground psyllium husk. So you, of course, you can get psyllium husk just very roughly ground, to use if you have digestive problems. But if you get it very finely ground, then it is a brilliant thing to add to a gluten-free dough, because when it's ground this finely and we add water, it will soak up all the water and gel. And then if you leave it for long enough and you really knead the dough and work it, then you will get something that gives you the same effect as gluten does in a glutinous, in a dough with glutinous grains, where the gluten is quite sticky, so that sticks together and allows you to create these long strings in the dough and lets you trap air pockets inside. But if you use lots of finely ground psyllium husk and enough water, you'll get the same effect. We'll add that in a moment. So we had our 25 grams of yeast. We also need about a tablespoonful of honey. Again, so we have something, so the yeast has something to feed on, and about a tablespoonful of high quality sea salt. Then we need about 2.5 deciliters of water, so that's slightly more than a cup. We're going to mix this, stir it together, and if it won't quite dissolve on its own with a spoon, then just grab a fork, which I'll do. I need to get it over here. There we go. It might just take a bit of work to make sure the dough, or that the yeast is totally dissolved. So now we have our mixture. So now, first thing I'll do is actually add our psyllium husk and mix it in here. To make sure that's thoroughly mixed with the water at first. In fact, if you come and have a closer look, you can see how it's already beginning to thicken a bit. So now we're sure that the psyllium husk is thoroughly distributed in the water and yeast mixture. Then we'll add our flour. And work it out dough. If you want to make the dough even smoother and a bit more velvety, then you can add in a bit of olive oil, so splash. I'm damaged by being professional, so that's about a tablespoonful, since I'm sure you'd like the exact amount. Now it's time to get your hands dirty, so there's no way around it. You're going to have to hand knead your dough. Just do it straight on your kitchen counter. And as you can see, it's already beginning to become quite sticky, so despite having no gluten, because of the psyllium husk, this is actually sticking together and it's beginning to become very sort of smooth and slightly sticky. If I just added rice flour and buckwheat flour, I couldn't do this. Then I'd have to add so much flour that it more or less becomes a brick. So as you can see already now, things are happening now. We need to leave this to rest for at least half an hour, but preferably an hour, to allow the psyllium to fully soak up the water and gel completely, because that will give us the same effect as gluten does in glutinous grains. So I'll see you in an hour and then we'll start baking.